Welcome to the Troy Graham Experience slash Daddy's Lounge. I'm just gonna, yeah, slash Daddy's Lounge, which is under the Troy. It's just a branch on the tree, on the Troy Graham Experience tree, or under the umbrella of the Troy Graham Experience. So yeah, I'm back like I said I was. Mr. Inconsistent is now consistent. Just have to find your passion. So welcome to the second episode of Daddy's Lounge. I just I was just thinking about a few things before I get into the topic and everything else I'm going to be discussing today about fathers and you know just everything. I remember this is going to lead into what I'm speaking about today. So now, before I even do that, how was everybody's weekend, man? How was everybody's weekend? I've been up. I might sound a little bit like I'm dragging. I got That's because I've been up since quarter to four. hmm About that much, yeah. I got up and then I left out the house about 2 hours later. And came back in about one, and I haven't taken my rest. I'm practicing before I do these shows to at least get 2 hours in, 2 hours of sleep in. Because I know once a couple of times I had the drop of sleep thing on the show. So, but yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. Yeah, I'm not gonna see me drop asleep no more. I'm gonna stay up. But yeah, so everything now is very is repetition, and it's a routine. It's like I come in, I do what I need to do, make my dinner, and I get my sleep. I wake up, brush my teeth, wash my face, get all prettied up, pick something out to wear because I take what I do seriously. I don't want to come on here just looking tore up from the floor up because this is basically my brand and my business. So I want to look decent, good. I even took the time to shave my hair. I slayed the grizzly. I slayed the grizzly, as I like to say. So yeah, I slayed the grizzly, and I came back. Now I look like SOFM. What is it? SOFM. Son of a mother and a father. hmm I I don't know it. I'm nobody's SOB. So here it is, Monday, and I am back once again doing my thing here with Daddy's Lounge. Something I'm going to enjoy building. Of all the things I've done on here with the boxing and the interviews and all of that. This I enjoy. I'm going to enjoy doing this because it's personal to me. It means a whole lot to me. It means a whole lot, this fatherhood thing, because I didn't have a father in the house to show me what to do. I really didn't. I didn't have it. So you know, I just had to kind of learn. Made a lot of mistakes, like my grandmother used to say. If you're not here, you're going to feel. Well, I felt a lot. Broke quite a few bones, more than once. This left leg here, broke that twice. This jaw got broken. My nose almost got broken once. Damn near collarbone got broke. Broke a toe. Just the trials I went through. I wouldn't, if I had a guide there with me or a father, I wouldn't have gone through all that, maybe. You know? But then again, I, these are things I probably needed to go through take me on my journey to what was coming, down the road in my journey, toughen me up, as they say, you know. But that's it. That's it. So today's topic is basically how to be a father, or how to learn how to become a father without having a father there. Now, if you grew up in a house with a father, that's great. But truth is, and I've said this so many times on here, the largest room in the world is room for improvement. So I grew up without a father, but I was always around strong men, and I appreciated all of them, and I learned something from each and every one of them. Right? Good, bad, or whatever, I learned something from all the ones that loved me to the kind ones, and there's people that cared about you, and it was some that learned you lessons through not so much caring, but cruelty. So you learn from that as well. So on this journey I've taken through fatherhood, the only way I could learn how to be a father, and I have 4 kids. They're all young adults now, 35, 24, 23, and 20. The only way I could learn anything is by just doing it. I learned how to be a father by just doing it. Now I'm going to tell that story I held off talking about. So I first got into boxing seriously at 16, and then I transitioned more at 17 when I was in the gym more, right? So when I was in the gym, there was a lot of repetition, repetition, repetition. So I picked a fight. They didn't tell me to go in that ring. I picked a fight like after. Yeah, I picked a fight. Yeah, I picked a fight after about 3 days or three weeks in the gym. I didn't know the guy was a pro because he didn't tell me. Well, I was a heavyweight. He was like a light heavyweight or whatever he was, right? So he more so embarrassed me than hurt me. You know why? I didn't finish my training. Puro, what's going on? I didn't finish my training, much like Luke didn't finish his training in Star Wars. So I had no left hand whatever to think about. So he embarrassed me and I was getting laughed at. So I went home and I watched a bunch of Joe Louis fights and Larry Holmes fights. And I said to myself, I need to learn how to jab more, right? Dub, what's going on? I need to learn how to jab more. So for 3 months, I was downstairs just boom, 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 boom. Came back to the gym after 3 months. Man looked at me and said, I thought you quit. And I said, no, I don't quit. So fought him again. He beat me, but this time I hit him one time with that boom, boom, and then came with the boom. And he was like, I heard him say it. He said, God damn. But I still really didn't know what I was doing, right? But this time when I left out the ring, there was no laughter. There was no laughter. It was all that repetition. Nobody laughed at me. And that's going to lead into the subject at hand, how I learned how to be a father. Repetition. Just like this writing a story, you have peaks and valleys in a story, and then you have the climax of the story. Even though when you're a parent, there's never a climax in the story because it never ends. You have climaxes that lead to other stories. So, reality is that my first biological child came at 29, but I, I raised, I had one wife, so when I got with her, she was my girlfriend. We were real young. She had a 2-year old, right? So that 2 year old is now 35, and I raised her since she was two. So can nobody tell me that's not my daughter, right? Puro,
Troy Grizzy.
how you doing, sir? How you doing?
I'm doing. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah, man. You
Doing what I
know,
want to do. Yeah.
you know,
So what's on your mind?
happy
Hmm.
Caesar Chavez Day.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that, but what's on your mind, man, as far as the topic and all that? Or, you, you know what? I never asked you if you had children, bro.
I do. I have one young daughter. She's going to turn 6 tomorrow.
Okay. And since I already know about your that you have your father in your life, how what did you learn from him that helped you, become the father that you are?
Well, I'm still learning on the job, to be honest. But
Hmm.
I mean, like, I learned a lot, obviously, on what it is to be a man. My dad was born in 1931, so
Hmm.
like it's like that old school.
Yeah.
My dad's like me, like a jokester, but he had like you see my avatar?
Yeah, I see it now. I can
You
see
see
it.
the older gentleman? That's my grandfather, not on my dad's side, but that's how my dad always looked. He always had like a stern face. So
Hmm.
people like automatically assumed he was like mean or whatever, but he was actually a sweetheart once you got to know him. But my dad, I was what they call a cacherul in Spanish or Mexican slang. That's called an unexpected surprise. Pretty much not planned, but
You
but
you would have
welcomed.
changed the life, baby, as they call it.
Yeah, yeah. Because my dad had 3 kids, all girls, so they didn't even believe I was a boy. Because I came
Okay.
6 years after. My parents
Hmm.
stopped trying. It was 6 years after my the one I'm closest to in age with my sister. So
Hmm.
yeah, so him like raising, 3 women plus his relationship with my mom, and then, like we're the only 2 men. So I learned a lot, but like when it comes to like, actually doing it myself, yeah, I'm learning on the job. It's no easy task.
Yeah, that's just like myself, brother. I didn't. Now, I say this. I've told this before on here, so I can repeat it again. I have two fathers. I know the man who brought me into this world, right? I'm
Hmm.
good with him, and then there's the man that raised me. I'm good with him, but I didn't grow up with either one of those gentlemen. I grew up with my grandmother and my uncle, right?
Okay.
So my uncle, he taught me a lot of things. He was an interesting cat. He taught me a lot of things, right? But he didn't have any children. So, but like I said, I had that little girl at two when she was 2 years old,
Hmm.
and I pretty much learned on the job because girls and boys are different when you they just but they're
They
just
sure
different.
are.
So yeah, so I learned how to be a father by just being a father. That's how I learned ups and downs and mistakes and everything else. I just learned by being a father.
Yeah. I'll tell you
So,
what.
hmm,
My parents were better parents than I mean, my parents were better parent than I am. I tell you what.
why you
Like
say that?
I think I could do better, to be honest.
Hmm.
I could do better cuz like my parents I don't know like I've never really asked other people like how they're how their parents, because like me and my wife, we go out, like we'll leave my
Hmm.
daughter sometimes when we have like a date night or whatever, we'll leave her with my sister or like with one of their sisters. But my parents, like, we were their whole world. As soon as they had children, that's it. They didn't go out.
Yeah,
They didn't like,
yeah.
maybe like when I was real young, I remember they used to go to like concerts because my mom liked music, my dad liked music, but
Hmm.
like seldom. It was just like literally like as soon as they had children, it was all about us. So I don't know if like the difference is just the way they were kind of brought up or the way they just decided how they were going to raise their kids and live like their own personal lives. But like just knowing that like my parents, like we were their whole focus, and like mine, like like I come on YouTube, I like boxing, I have my own like little interests. It like my kids, like not my whole focus. That's why I say like I think I could do better.
Well, always been taught that the largest room in the world is room for improvement, man. So we all can do better. We
Yeah,
all
man.
can do better, man.
But I
Because
think
I
I do all
know,
right. I think I do all right.
yeah, I know I didn't know anything about raising no little girl. I didn't know how to do hair. I damn sure I
Mm.
wasn't gonna give her no bath. So we were blessed that we lived right across the street from her grandmother, right?
Yes, sir.
So I would just walk down the sidewalk and take her over there, and she had aunties over there and grandma. So they were like, "Oh, you need us to give her a bath and do her hair." I'm like, "Absolutely," because I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. You
I hear
know.
you. I do it all except for her hair. I can't. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know how.
But I can tell you what I learned on the fly, man. I learned that time is one of the most important things. Because one thing my father was, my biological father, he was a
Mm.
provider. From my understanding, right?
Mhm.
We never really needed for too much. These are stories that I heard coming up. If he needed anything, they send the word out to him. He'd come, give the money, spend a little time with me, then he was gone again. He was good at providing, but emotionally he was kind of cut off.
I hear you. I hear you.
But
I
and
Yeah.
then
Go ahead.
mhm. and then
No, go ahead, son.
the man who raised me, on the other hand, he he was the roots man, I called him, because he married my mother and he set down roots, and he was the one who gave emotionally, right?
Yes, sir.
And the story just goes from there. Eclipse, brother, it's good to see you, Eclipse. But yeah,
Clips.
so that's how I learned how to be a father, because I learned that it took more than time. I also learned that cruelty and kindness are on the same card when you're a parent. Father. Well, let's say father. Let's say just fathers, right?
Mm.
Because when my little girl here was 15, she looked like she was 18, because she's 6'1" now, right?
Mm.
And she's 35. So when she was 15, she was like, "Oh, yeah, there's this little boy. There's this little boy that liked me." I said, "How old is this little boy?" She said, 18. 18. I said, "He don't like you." And she was like, "Why you say that? You think I'm ugly?" I'm like, "No, no, no, you're not ugly, but he don't like you. You overdeveloped like your mama was, your aunties were. He's looking at you for only one thing, and you need to stop dressing like that." And I told her mother that, and I said to her, "This is where the cruelty comes in. He's only chasing you for one reason. Tell him that if you when you see him in school, to leave you alone, or I'm gonna kick his ass and his daddy ass, right?" And so her little stupid butt went and told him, right? She said, "He don't talk to me no more." I said, "Okay."
Hey, if he was
I
really
said, "Yeah."
interested, he would have stuck around, right?
Yes, that was the test.
Right.
So he don't talk to her no more. And the reason why I said go ahead and tell him that I would kick his father ass, because his father was one of my sparring partners back in high school.
I hear
Yeah, he was a damn good southpaw. I used to whoop his ass, but he was good though.
you.
So all jokes aside, that's how I learned, man. And I know there's a ton of brothers out there, because I used to mentor as well, and
Mm.
so many of these young brothers would come to me and be like, they call me Mr. G, right? And
Yeah.
they'd be like, "Yeah, man, my girl's pregnant, but I'm not ready to be a father. I don't know what to do." I said, "It don't matter if you're ready. The most important thing for you to do is stay. Stay. You can't, because you can't run away from your own shadow,
Facts.
right?
Yeah.
So stay, because if you don't, she gonna get another man and putting the life of your child. You don't know if that's gonna be a good man or a bad man or whatever's gonna happen you, right?"
You ain't rolling the dice.
Yeah, and quite a few of them would run because they're so tough on the street. They could sell drugs and do this and do that, but when it come time to be responsible, they punk up, right?
Mm.
Then they want to come talk to me about, "I don't know what to do, Mr. G. I already told you what to do. The first thing is to stay.
Right? Be there.
And then you just be there. But I don't got no money, you know. And I'm like, I said, dude, I still do WIC. I was doing WIC back in the day with
Hmm.
my children, man. And he was like, word. I said, word. Yeah. You ain't
Buddha
ashamed?
provides, right?
Yeah. So I was like, no, I'm not ashamed. You see anybody in here hungry?
Right?
Except me, right?
Yeah, no,
But
for sure. I
the
learned from my
kids don't
parents
hungry.
real young that we ain't never had nothing, we're never gonna have nothing. So like obviously like money is money, but like that was never a like a oh like I have no money, I don't know what to do. Like I've never had any money, but my kid's
Yeah.
gonna eat, you know. I'm gonna eat, the wife's gonna eat.
And something else I learned along the way, Puro, you don't have to have a lot to actually leave memories, man, because I remember I used to volunteer at this school a lot, right?
Hmm.
So after a while, the other kids got to know who I was, and the teachers got to know who I was, who my children were. So that helped out with their behavior, right?
Yes, sir.
And then I got involved with the after school program. I was there for that. Uh, they had a food bank and stuff. I got involved with that, and they just have different memories. They're not all good, but if you want to see the interviews I did with my kids, just go onto the Troy Graham Experience and go down the lives, and you'll see it clearly. It says father and son interview or something like that. Something like
Yeah,
that,
I've
right?
seen I think I've seen one or two with your son. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, man.
for sure, for
Eclipse,
sure.
you up here, brother? How you
Yeah, I'm
doing?
in the building. I'm in the building. I had to keep it muted for a second. I had some shit going on outside my window, man. But hey, Troy, man, good to see you, man. Piero, que onda, way, cana?
Clips, give it
Hey,
away.
bro.
What up?
Orale, what's happening, man?
Aquí
Oh, man.
nomás, pinche clips. What's up, man?
Yeah, pinch your way, man. I just out here, man. You know me, man. I'm just
Yeah,
out here
bro.
living. You know
Out
what I'm
here
saying?
Hmm.
doing the damn thing, huh?
Hey, but I
I know
love
you
doing
have a son, Eclipse, because you spoke about him before. So how'd you learn how to be a father, brother?
mm. Well, that's what made me want to hit the link. I was listening to y'all. I was just, what I'm
Hmm.
saying, just scrolling, seeing what's going on. And fatherhood was crazy for me. Not to get too long-winded, but my oldest son wasn't my first child. He's just the oldest that's alive.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, I actually had a child very, very, like, very young, like not really cool, but the child didn't live that long. And then I had a couple other experiences. So when I turned in my late 20s and had my son, he's born healthy and whatever. It's like, yo, like I don't know. It's weird for me because it's like a lot of people say when they had their kid, they slowed down. When
Okay.
I was when I was holding my little king in my arms, because I was there, like he said, I pulled him out the stomach. You feel what I'm saying? Like type shit. Like
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Like there was a C-section. I like my hands are literally the first hands to ever touch him. You know what I'm saying? Type stuff. And so I always tell people when I'm holding my king, it was just like, fuck, I gotta do more. Like it was, oh wow, like yo, and it was crazy because I've been responsible for human lives, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
for a minute, but it was like, nah, this is you. It hit
Yeah.
different. You feel me, Troy? It hit a little
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. It's funny you said that because I actually remember the room of the hospital that my first child was born in. Two was 235, and the
Mm-hmm.
other two were born in the Pat Sajak wing of the hospital down in Annapolis, Maryland. So I actually remember all that stuff. I remember all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you never forget the details. I know at different
And
times, on other platforms, I would speak on it and cats would, what I'm saying, cats would try to clown and everything. But like honestly, fatherhood has been so beautiful because it's been a humbling thing. Like my son just turned 18, not trying to brag or
hmm.
flex, but he's already a licensed private pilot. He's on his way to West
Wow.
Point. He's on his way to
Okay.
West Point with high honors. and he's been a man amongst men, you know what I'm saying, for a long time now. Like, you know, he just turned 18, but he's about 8-9 years into, like, you know, everybody was, you know what I'm saying, like, I ain't gonna get into it, but everybody talking all that shit, and it's like, nah, either y'all kids are too small or y'all too new to fatherhood, but y'all don't know the joy of knowing that, as regardless of how messed up it was, and like y'all was talking about, the bills was met, but the kids were provided for. And like, so when my son was 9 years old and told me, Dad, don't even trip, I got this, I'm going to be a private pilot, I'm gonna do
Yeah, I remember you told that story.
Yeah, and he said, don't you worry about nothing, just keep doing what you're doing, you ain't got to worry about chasing this money. He was like, Dad, I see how you do, we ain't got to have money like this, you know what I'm saying, don't worry about being broke, I got this. And I watched that young man grow and check every single box. I'm talking about par excellence, brothers. And I'm not even saying it to brag. I was saying, like, do you understand me, Troy? Like, you got your children older than me, that, oh, wow, as messed up as I am, I did something right.
Yeah, it's a powerful feeling. Yeah, it is. It is. Let me bring up Major here. Major.
What's good, gentlemen? How y'all doing, man?
We're doing good, brother. We're doing good.
Yes, God bless all of you, man. Yo, that guy Clips, good to see you, Poodle. Good to see you, man. Of course, Troy Grizzly, you already know how we get down. Hey, man, yeah, I already told you. You told me you was gonna go live about the subject, man. And for me, man, it's been my life's mission. You know what I'm saying? I was a wild dude when I was young, man. Dealt with a lot of crazy, grimy shit when I was young. You know what I'm saying? And when I had my first son, it kind of brought my life into perspective. You know what I'm saying? You know, and it really woke me up. And even though it took a lot of time to completely get out of that, you know, because you're always going to get those thoughts, you're always going to resort back to that ignorant mentality. You know what I'm saying? Especially if somebody pisses you off, you automatically get ignorant. You automatically go left with it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just the way it is when people are raised that way. You know, so I mean, you can't really like get rid of it until you really understand how to control yourself. But a lot of us don't go to therapists. We don't go to we don't get no, you know what I'm saying? Like we don't get no really good feedback from our loved ones. You know what I'm saying? Everybody always giving us bad feedback, and we about it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you know, this what you need to do. Oh, how you let them talk to you like that? Oh, you know, this and this and that. You better handle it this way. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we always on a negative track for no reason. You know what I'm saying? When we supposed to be good people. You know what I mean? And so the reason I say that to preface the whole conversation is because this is what we're relaying to the children while we're raising them. So the fact of the matter is, I was a young man when I had my children. I have 10, by the way, for those that don't know. I have 10 children, and they range from
here stroking.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I just follow directions. They said, "Come to me," I came. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I was falling in line. That's all I was doing, brother. You know what I'm saying? But
good man.
But you know, with that being said, I'm just saying that I got kids that range from 25 years old to my daughter just turned 1 last month. You know what I'm saying? And then with that being said, it's been a whole life of just raising children. That's what it is. And you know, some people have put me on child support, others have put me on and taken me off because I've gained custody. And it's been like this back and forth type of shit. You know what I'm saying? And I've even raised three step kids. So really the total is 13 because I raised 3 step kids for 10 years. You know what I mean? So with that being said, bro, it's a different era right now. A lot of these kids feel entitled, but the older generations, they do kind of understand. So they have the privilege of understanding a little bit more old school version of me. But do they pass it down? That's the responsibility somewhat of them too, to kind of like do that as older siblings. But they don't always do that because they're still becoming people themselves. You see what I'm saying? So
right.
It's a difficult thing. But like I said, Troy knows about my 14-year-old. My 14-year-old son is the one that I'm really worried about because the older ones already became adults, the boys at least. And then I got my 5-year-old boy. When the girls, I mean, they chilling, they relax. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, they work, they hustle, they like with honors programs, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Gifted classes. But the boys are the ones that I was always worried about. You know what I'm saying? And my 14-year-old is the worst one right now that I'm worried about. You know, because I'm converting him. I'm trying to change him because he's been around his mother who doesn't really care. And that's the
Yeah.
most difficult part. She doesn't actually care. All she's trying to do is get that income tax. She doesn't really care about how, because in the middle of the school year when he's not listening, she sends them right back to me. You know what I'm saying?
And
And it's just all it's doing is not letting you live a consistent life. But the kid, I got photos of him, you know what I'm saying, with like, you know, bags of high grade herb, you know what I'm saying, with guns, you know what I'm saying, in his own family's garage, you know what I'm saying. It's like, bro, like, okay, so if this is not the stepdad's guns, like whose guns are these? Okay, so they're the kid that he's hanging out with. Okay, so why does the kid bring guns into your house and she don't care?
right.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
know what,
That's
Major?
stupid.
I was gonna ask you a question, but I'm glad you told this story. I was gonna ask you the question because the topic at hand is how did you learn how to be a father? And I definitely want to hear that from you. How did you learn how to be a father?
Okay, so the father part again. I remember my I don't know if you guys know this, but I've actually
I
said
do.
this on multiple YouTube channels. Yeah, I know you know, Troy, but you know, so for me, my mother, my father was a police officer. Okay, and in 1983, through when I was 3 years old, like on his birthday, he came over to my mother's house, right? Because they had just separated, and apparently he got drunk and threatened to kill all of us. And my mother killed him with his own gun. After that, like that later on that night in the early morning, she killed him and took us out to do grocery shopping and acted like she didn't do shit, and then claimed insanity and actually got off with that. All right. So those are facts. I mean, most people that know me, I've said this on the internet. It's not like something that I'm saying new. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm an open book. I don't give a fuck. This is my life. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know. So with that being said, it's been always difficult for me to take any man's perspective, like you run my show. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I'm the way I am. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll listen to you. I'm a very cool dude. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm a very difficult person to try to say, oh, I'm saying this and fuck what you saying. That it's always going to cause an argument. So with the kids, all I try to do is tell them that, hey, people are like this. They're always going to argue with you. They're always going to fucking try to put you down and stuff like that. And all I try to do is elevate them. And so I guess my life, to answer your question, what made me a better father was when I started realizing that all of the shit that I believed when I was young, all of this bullshit about, you know, being ignorant and acting this way to get props and to feel this way was all bullshit, bro. And I needed to teach my kids that nah, you know what? When I was going to all these after school programs and all these things that were about benefiting the children that didn't have households that can afford things, you know, the summer school programs and talking to the teachers, the ones that cared back in the days, those things actually helped me. You know what I'm saying? It was speaking to people that cared, and I think we lost that along the way. Like if people just stopped caring. You know?
That and the fact that people aren't really firm enough sometimes. You know, they always talking about people have to grow, and okay, when you get somebody pregnant, there's a child involved. You have to grow. You have to grow with them. You don't have no time just to grow yourself. You have to grow with them. It's not like, oh, he's just a baby. Well, no, because I don't know one baby that makes a baby.
But as a
So
father, though,
it don't
I'm
work
sorry to
out
cut
like
you off, but as a father, though, since that's the purpose of this conversation, as a
that.
father, you have to be the leader in that situation. You have to be that leader in that situation, and it's because we are males. Whether females want, real females recognize it, but males actually are supposed to be the ones that defend the household. They're supposed to be the providers. They're supposed to be the dominant figures. You know what I'm saying? And the females support that. It's not that they are less than that. They play their roles. They support that, and that's what makes a power couple. It's the two individuals that play their roles perfectly. The nurturer and the provider. You see what I'm saying? And the protector. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. It's like a combination of those two things. That's the way it's supposed to be. But unfortunately nowadays, it doesn't seem to be just like, cancel culture. A lot of just bullshit. To be honest with you, if you ask me. But I don't want to keep. I just jumped in. That's my perspective. I'll lay back and let y'all go.
Yeah, Puro had something to say because I see his mic go off and on. You have something to add to it, Puro?
No, I just wanted to show that I was back. I actually didn't hear what Major was saying because I was my daughter was hungry. I had to make her food.
Oh, okay, okay. And then the clips. You got anything to
Um,
go
yeah,
ahead.
that was very deep, and I was telling first of all, Major Key, it's always love and respect, but I didn't know that story about you and human being to human being, fuck man to man, and all like that. Human being to human being, that's a lot to carry. That's a lot to carry. Salute to
Mm-hmm.
you, keeping your shoulders broad. You feel what I'm
No,
saying?
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. But I've lived with it my whole life, and so you see what I'm saying. For me, at this point, it's already easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, but for a lot of people, a lot of people didn't know that, and unless you tell people, you know what I'm saying. People are not psychic. They can't read your mind. They don't know what you've been through. You got to kind of educate them and just, or at least communicate with them and say, hey, this is what I've been through, man. You know what I'm saying? So if you think I'm a little off about it, you know what I'm saying, just understand this is why I act the way I act. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, I could relate 1,000 times to that. Like, I'm not gonna, this ain't about me, this is about fatherhood. But I had a I had a very rocky journey. You know what I'm saying? More valleys than peaks. And we carry that weight. And the only thing real thing I was gonna chime in was like when you said you had to relearn things. You know what I'm saying? You had to rethink and reassess. You had to first, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? You had to clear the chalkboard and then write a new equation. And the craziest thing for me with fatherhood was it was a little different because as I got older and I'm becoming and I was like, yo, I'm chilling out on this. I'm chilling out. Like I said, I'm holding my king like, yo, I gotta do more. And thank God for the way I was raised, as crazy as it sounds. My OGs always, I always talk about like I was blessed. I have some of my OGs were real militant, Panthers kids, Republic of New Africa brothers. And so even though we was wild dudes in the streets, you know what I'm saying? We was always taught to crash out for the right reasons. And having a son made me focus that to where I'm everyone when he was real young. Like, why are you so open about who you are and how you get down with your son? I said I wanted him to see that. And then
Mm-hmm.
now that he's 18, everyone sees that he's not enamored by the street life. You feel what I'm saying? I can't stress that enough to people. Like, that was so amazing. Like, Troy, you dig what I'm saying? When you got children older than me, like Major Key, you can feel me. Like, when you see the
Mm-hmm.
grown person that you raise and you see that the reason why they do things is because of what they saw and what they're seeing, and you see them moving right, you say, okay, and it just takes this burden off your chest. It just takes this weight off your chest. At least for me, I don't know about y'all brothers, but when I was able to be honest with myself and with my son and raise my kids in that way, my youngest is too young for me to tell right now, but my son is like, I, I didn't have to worry about him getting pulled into the streets. He knew his daddy was a gangster. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he knew, like, when he's going around, when he's in the city, you know what I'm saying? Everyone knows, yeah, that's Eclipse's son. You feel what I'm saying? And it's not like, oh, that's Eclipse's son. He a little whatever too. It's like, nah, that's Eclipse's son. Let that boy live. You see, he just doing his thing. You feel what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that was a blessing. You feel me, Troy?
Yeah. I could tell you this, man. I had my son Malcolm X. I named him Malcolm X, right? So when he was about 9 years old, they call me to the school talking about they gonna call the police on my little 9-year-old son. I'm like 9 or 10. I'm like, why? So I get up there and he is 10. He's in the principal's office, tearing the damn office up. He was about to tear down the TV off the wall, right? Nobody explained to me what happened. Nobody. All I saw was the aftermath of something that really wasn't his fault. So I took him in the bathroom, and based on what I saw, I gave him a spanking. It wasn't until 24 hours later they told me, oh, him and his friend were playing this game where they spin each other around, and then whatever. And his friend slipped and hit his head on the table. And because he's white, his face got all red and everybody got nervous. They didn't tell me that it was an accident. And then my son, much like me, when you corner him, he gets real angry, right? So the teachers and everybody just jumped on him and threw him in the office and didn't get his side of the story. So he lashed out. And then recently on his birthday, when he turned 22, I asked him asked him if he still remember that beating. He said, "Hell yeah, I still remember that beating." I told him I was sorry, man. I've been feeling bad about that for years because I didn't get the whole story, right? So I just told him, "You have a little girl now, man. You have to be the most important man in her life until she gets married, and don't make any rash decisions until you get the whole story like your daddy did, because it's gonna haunt you, you know."
That's
Yeah,
well
So
man.
said.
Listen.
yeah,
Yeah, now go ahead, Clips. I just wanted to give you credit for sharing as well, and then also for Troy. And I can follow up after you.
No, I was just saying I was just saying that that's very well said. It was like I know I'm one of them people who believe that you owe everything to your children. You know what I'm saying? I believe that
hmm
everything you have is borrowed from the future. You know what I'm saying? If you're not a good steward of what life's given you, then all your children are inheriting is the generational curses and the debt and the unfinished business that you didn't handle. And so
hmm
at several times I've had to look at my son and like you, I had to apologize. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it ain't all that, oh, I'm daddy, nigga. I'm just trying, nigga, shit. I made it to where it was like, no, as a man, I could have went about that differently. As a man, I could have shielded you from some of this a little differently. You know what I'm saying? Even when his mama went bad and everything, and you know what I'm saying, and I had to part ways with her. You know, I could have went about that a little differently to kind of offset some of that trauma of that weird transition for him. And I salute you, Troy, for saying that. And you know, and all fathers who understand that part of being a father is also like Major Key said, we're the man of the house, and you know the buck stops here, the good and the bad, and you can't just puff out your chest for the good shit. You've also got to say, yeah, that was me, even
hmm
if you didn't do it directly, you're the man of the house.
yeah,
That's facts, man. That's facts. I just want to add on. You know, it's crazy because Troy got a son named Malcolm X. You know, the one that I was telling you that my son, the 14-year-old that I be having issues with. You know, his name is Righteous. You know what I'm saying? I named him Righteous. You know, so that is the literal, government name, Righteous. You know what I mean? And so, everybody always look at him like he's cool. He's 14 years old. He's over 6 feet tall already. You know what I'm saying?
mm
So and then he's slim. He got a bunch of Jordans. His mother buys him a bunch of Jordans. I'll be buying whatever I can. Here and there. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day with the George Floyd stuff, he had Black Lives Matter Air Force Ones. You know what I'm saying? Like custom made. You know what I mean? He's a fly kid. He's a fly kid. He got the PS5. He got what? But then I take that shit away though. I take that shit away. His mother doesn't take it away. When he fucks up, I take it away. You know, and that to me, that's the important point. And I talk to him. I tell him, yo, you're me, bro. You're me. You're my son. I love you to death. But you need me to help. You need to help me help you. Because I can't do your work in class. I can't do your homework. I can't not fight for you. You know what I'm saying? Like when you just fucking horse around in class, play fighting, and then it turns into a real fight when I tell you not to do that shit all the time. And I told him, I'm like, yo, you lower your standards when you play fight. You're not supposed to play fight. People are supposed to take you serious. You're not playing about fighting. What are you talking about? You don't play fight. You fighting for real. What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be a leader. You know what I'm saying? This is the way I talk to my son. And he gets me, but at the same time, he forgets. He forgets, and that's the part that's disturbing to me because then I got teachers calling me, and don't get it twisted. The teachers are like a little fucked up nowadays. Like they'll just look at something like what Troy was saying. Like they'll take something and they were play fighting and because my son got the best of them all of a sudden now he's the wrong one. But they were both play fighting, you know what I'm saying? Now he gets suspended, but the other kid doesn't. That's not fair. You know what I mean? That's not fair. But hey, it's tough, man. It's tough, man. I got daughters that are living with my ex. You know what I'm saying? Where he's the stepdad is a racist dude, and he don't like me because I cussed him out one time. And so, I put him in place. You know what I'm saying? I put that motherfucker in place for real, because he was acting all jealous. I'm like, why you jealous of me, bro? I'm not trying to go after your girl. You crazy, bro? That's your wife, bro. I'm not trying to go out there. And he insulted me again. And so I told him, I'm like, bro, let me tell you something, man. I smashed that shit from every angle you could fucking anticipate. So if you mad at me because of that, that's your problem. But that's what you're going to have to live with. You know what I'm saying?
Major.
And I know I was wrong for that, and he still thinks about that shit to this day. That's why he doesn't like me. But that doesn't change the fact that he doesn't need to be racist around my daughters. You know what I'm saying? You know,
And
and
Major,
they hate that
you
shit
getting a
about me.
lot
They
of
hate that
feedback
shit.
coming from your phone.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably passing by. You know, I live by the lake. You know what I'm saying? It's like a
Yeah.
woman.
Because I was
My
gonna
bad.
ask you if there's a
I'll put
fire
myself
truck or
on mute.
something passing by.
But nah, he said some good points there, Troy. Like
Yeah, he did.
you know, and then it's crazy too when you deal with the non-traditional, say, parenting where you got a co-parent. And because you got to keep in mind those things, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to move on. She's going to move on. There will be other people around your kids, like it or not, you know? And so the main thing is, you know, having that discernment, and hopefully your baby mom has discernment not to just have any goofball around your kids. But even if she does, you can't control that. What you can't always control, shout out to Puro and Troy earlier when you was talking about something, like when you was on WIC, like, no, you got to make sure that as dad, when they're coming chilling with you, those four walls are peaceful walls. You know what I'm saying? When they're with dad, like, that's the most amazing things. There were times where I was broke and fucked up and whatever like that. And my kids just wanted to just hang out with dad. Like you were saying, you ain't got to do much to make those memories. You ain't got to go spend some money and take them out to the mall. Man, I'll never forget, my son was about 4 or 5 years old, and it's fucked up because I never knew my father, right? And so it was real fucked up because we're playing video games and he just pauses the video game and looks at me and says, Dad, you have no idea how much this means to me. And naturally, I just looked at him and I said, son, my son's name's Zodra. I'm like, Zodra, to be honest, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Because, we had a routine on the weekends. Puro.
Yes, sir, Troy.
I just want to know if you want to jump in because I know you've been quiet.
Oh no, I'm just listening. I do that a lot, Like,
yeah. Because
but go ahead, go finish your thought, though, Troy.
Yeah, because we had this routine on the weekends. Me and my sons, we would clean up the house, and then I tell them, look, man, we going to Costco. We're gonna hit up Costco, BJ's, and Sam's Club, and I'm sure you understand why, for the samples, right? I had 3 boys, so they always hungry. So we used to go for the samples, and then once we left there, we go to the Amish market like a half an hour before close because everything was half off. We go there and they would get a dozen donuts. I would get the beef rib dinner and all that. They usually cost me $40, cost me $20 now, right? And I told them to pick out something else so we go home. Man, they would eat or we would eat, fall asleep. I come back and be lucky if I get 1 rib. Them suckers would eat everything, boy. but fast forward to present day, they still remember all that stuff. He was laughing the other day, my son. He was like, yeah, Dad, I took my daughter to Costco, right? And she was getting a sample. And I had a flashback. I said, tell him what a pop-up used to do to you. He said, yeah. I told her Pop-Up used to make sure we were good and full and then run us at the basketball court and take us to the Amish market.
Right, every little bit helps.
Yeah, man. So yeah, you're right. It's not always money sometimes. You have to be creative and just have a need to do something and find a way to do it.
Facts. Salute to Major. I had to say, what up, Major?
Major, you still here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my bad. No, for some reason the mic didn't switch over. But yeah, no. Salute to you, Puro. Like I said, man. I love everybody's story, man. Because here's the thing, we all live life, man. Like right now, like I got my I'm on the patio outside. I got my fucking 1-year-old. She's over here smiling at me. She want me to pick her up and bring her outside, but I can't because I'm on a live. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it. Life is life, man. Like I said, I've been a dedicated father since basically since I had my first child in 1999, man. And it's over here 2025, and it is what it is, man. You know what I mean?
That's a beautiful thing. Like a lot of people don't get, like like Major Key, you touched on something earlier. Like, I don't know about Troy and Puro, but my biological kids aren't the only people that I raised. You know what I'm
Me
saying?
neither. Yeah.
I was
Me
a wild
neither.
boy.
Yeah,
I was a wild boy,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Within my valley, you know what I'm saying? I'm unk and I'm, you know what I'm saying? I'm unk and whatever to a lot of cats because I was that dude who, even though I was smashing and running, and you know what I'm saying? I'm still a wild boy, but you know, because of how I grew up, when I get with these chicks who got kids, and sometimes I would see what's going on in that house. Sometimes me and that girl might not even be messing around, but I'd make a point to keep my eye on that kid.
Right.
And so
That's
I
good.
could
That's good. Yeah.
yeah, I could
Yeah,
probably say that, you know what I'm saying? I've got over 6 people who are now well over 25 who, you know what I'm saying? Like, people don't even know, like, while they will crash something over me or something like that. It was like, nah, like, you know, there were times where, you know, his mom was on bullshit. She's still running the streets, starting it up. And instead of, you know what I'm saying, instead of being that dude, that cool ex-boyfriend who they just see now in the hood because I don't come over no more, nah, I'd still stop by, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't even be hollering at their mom. Sometimes I just come by the park, talk to a nigga some bread, or be like, come on, man, get that nigga some kicks or something like that. Or just talk to the motherfucker.
Yeah,
You know,
sometimes it's just a simple conversation. That's right. You know, sometimes listen, it takes a village to raise a child, man. You know what I'm saying? So you got to have the right people in place. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, so sometimes it's about the church, sometimes it's about the school, sometimes it's just about, you know, just having the average person that already got the game on their mind, and you know, the child needs it. You know what I'm saying? Because they stuck in the game,
hmm
or they trying to be stuck in the game, and you need somebody that's really knowing the game to teach them and educate them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. I tried my best to, like not on my own kids, but not even kids, but like younger men than I am, try to learn from my experiences. But hard-headed young men, they're gonna have to learn the hard way. But I've tried my best throughout the years, to do that.
Well,
That's
my
all you can do,
grandmother.
Budo.
Show.
yeah, if you
My grandmother used to say, with her thick Jamaican accent, if you're not here, you're going to feel, right? And that's how a lot of
I
them learned. That's how I broke my leg twice. That's how I got my jaw broke. That's how I
Shoot.
got my collarbone broke. That's how I broke my toe twice. So just
So it took you a while to get the message. It took you a while, is what you're saying. It took you a while.
yeah, yeah. She used to tell me that my head was tough like steel, and I said, I guess, yeah, I guess,
He
yeah.
needed it, he
Yo,
needed it.
and yo,
I didn't
I
need to
want to
break
say
all
yo,
them dead
clips,
bones,
clips.
but yeah, yeah.
So clips, because I know you for a minute from multiple channels. You know that. You know what I'm saying? Like me and you've been cool for years now, bro. But um one thing, I don't think we've ever been on this channel together, right? So let me tell you
Mm-mm.
something. The reason me and Troy got cool, man, like Troy will tell you the type of hoods that I grew up around. Like this is how we got cool. He actually knows my family from the hoods that I grew up in.
He's
You
not
know what I'm
telling the
saying?
whole story.
In New York,
We're in
in
the
New York,
same
yeah,
court.
in the
It's not
Bronx,
just the
and then
neighborhood. We're in the
it's
same
funny
court.
because it's funny because you see all his connections out in B-more and shit like that, and then he's still got connections out in Virginia and shit like that's still connected to him that I know out there, and it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I know that he's real just because of my family telling me, and he knows that I'm real because of my family telling me too. You know, or my family telling him, I should say, his family, I should say, because who was it? What
Cozell.
was my man's name? Because there was a couple of them.
Cozell.
Corzel, right? Corzel,
Yeah.
and then there was a couple. I think one or two more that because Neil, you knew Neil, right?
But yeah, Neil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And he was actually in a relationship with my cousin. You know what I'm saying? So
hmm
yeah, it's crazy. The world is
That's
that
right.
small.
That's right. So his
The world
kids
is
are
that small.
actually, let's just call them my
Troy
cousins. Yeah.
Troy put me on the
Yes.
phone with my cousin because of Corzel. He put me on the phone with my cousin after me not speaking to them for like 15, 16 years.
Yeah, that's deep. And
Okay.
it's crazy like you said that because I know what I'm saying, I know through other channels, um Haplo. Like, you know what I'm saying? Saying Haplo typo, like people don't understand. Me and him had the same teacher. You know what I'm saying? Like
Wow.
motherfuckers is clowning and joking, but you know what I'm saying, the man who saved my life when, you know what I'm saying, You know what I'm saying? Them hillbillies was about to railroad me and just have me just locked up in the system, who taught me law through the speaking through the vents in a jail cell. Taught a little wild, crazy nigga law to where I went pro se and beat my cases. That same man was the man who, you know what I'm saying, caught Haplo in a similar situation in his life.
Wow, I didn't know that. Me and Haplo get along very well, actually. That's my guy right there. You know what I'm saying? That's what's up, man. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he a solid dude, man. And with that said, rest in peace to brother George Foster. And like I know, like some people try to make light of that, but like I said, like if if you come from these stories that I always tell, like even when I talk about my past in the streets and gang banging, like I can't speak for nobody else, but I know I had a fucked up childhood. Pardon my French, Troy. I don't mean to be cussing too much on your show, but I had a messed up childhood, and me and a lot of my friends, we weren't gang banging and running the streets for trying to prod or ego. We were taking care of ourselves. Like, a lot of us had BS going on in our houses, to where, like, I tell people, like, you have never taken a shift in the crack house so you have a peaceful place to do your homework, because it is actually more peaceful to sit up in here and catch these plays, and I can still read my book and do my assignments, than sitting in my house, because my house at the time was a literal gang headquarters. You know what I'm saying? And so, people do things for different reasons. That's probably why I've always had a soft spot for, kids and, people in situations, and people don't understand how serious it gets, I always tell people, when I got out, I'm saying at 20 years old, and I came back to Ohio, and I looked up 22 turning 23, and I'm in my city, Warren City, and run around Youngstown, and little homies from the set are calling me OG. It used to piss me off until I realized, damn, all the dudes above me are either locked up or dead now. Fuck, I'm next in line. I'm only 22. You feel me, Key? I'm only 22.
And you in Youngstown, bro. Youngstown is a very well-known boxing town.
Oh, yeah. It was all types of shit, man. Shout out to Zach Page. Shout out to my man, Tony the Tiger. Of course, we got the champ, Kelly Batley. You know what I'm saying? Tony Hanshaw, you know what I'm saying? We got so many. And it's sad, like, my area is filled with some of the greatest musicians, greatest all sorts of things, who we just couldn't get past the streets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's the part where they lack the fathership. That's exactly what we're talking about right now. Or they got the fathership, but they didn't know how to accept it because of whatever reason.
Well, I think some of these cats, there's a catch-22 with being a good parent. Like I was saying, I didn't hide who I was and where and how I got to be who I am from my children, and I try not to hide it from anybody. It's part of something that I developed going to therapy in my 30s. Whereas like, fuck it, you know what I'm saying? If people want to try to don't believe you or do all that bullshit, or people think it's a game, and then the gangster side of me is like, well, you can suck your teeth and roll your eyes all you want to. You're going to fuck around and find out, and it ain't even going to be me. Because like I said, I done raised too many people around here. You can't go, and I'm not even a brand. You can't go playing with me, my name around here. That's why my son was always good in my valley. You know what I'm saying? It's not about, I'm this, that, or whatever. I'm 5'9", you know what I'm saying? Maybe 170 right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, it's not about that. It's about that man shit. And it's about that. We was taking care of each other, and we was making a point. Like, I remember one time I had to snap on somebody we all know, because I'm trying to explain to him. I'm trying to explain to him about two guys that I'm very proud of, who were my hitters, who, when I'm really sitting at the front, at the table, at the big seat at the table, these is my hitters. And now most cats would have just sicked them loose on the streets, like, yeah, nigga, I got real steppers, and yeah, y'all better whatever, and get on a Viking and snatch territory. You know what I did? I spent thousands of dollars to help clean up one of my cats' records. The other one I didn't have to do that to. And since they were good at what they did, I took them down to the Army recruiters. And just like a month or so ago, a month or two ago or whatever like that, the one called me thanking me because he had just retired, 22 years service, you know what I'm saying? All this decorated Army recon, sniper, all whatever, you know what I'm saying? And the other one did 19, 20 years, you know what I'm saying? Like, these men
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Salute to you. Salute to you for that, bro. That's real shit.
well, you know, I'm proud of that. Thank you. But no, I'm proud of them. And more importantly, I am proud of the gangsters who raised me. And like I always tell people, they taught me the best they knew.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God that they were honest enough that they would tell me, hey, little Mike, this shit ain't right. But if you're gonna do it, like when I mentor kids, I tell them, I excuse my language again, Troy, I call it the art of fucking up correctly. You know what I'm saying? Because you're gonna be young. You know what I'm saying? So thank God for my OGs who taught me that, and you know I've just always tried to carry that on. We just had 330 weekend in my valley, and it was a beautiful thing. Like, you know, I've been real big about getting all of us who are my age and older to embrace the fact that we're the elders, and understand that we can't keep complaining about these YNs or whatever like that, because they only are acting on what they saw and what they're seeing. So if we keep showing them fuckery, we can't complain about the fuck shit.
Absolutely not. You know, you learn, yeah. But life, but then again, it's hard to tell somebody that, you know, in life, you're only going to learn by growing, and you got to go through that pain to go through it. You can't run away from it, which has always been an issue with me. If you were on the streets causing pain, now you have to go through some pain to grow and help somebody else grow. Why are you running away from that?
That's deep. That's deep.
I
That's deep
never
as hell
understood
because
that.
yeah, like people never got that. Like I always said, I love Biggie. No disrespect to Biggie, but one thing that me and my brother, Juicy's still one of my favorite songs, but I hate the opening to Juicy. I'm on when that song dropped. I'm talking about I'm 12, 13 years old. Running around on the West Coast gang banging, and I had the mindset that when I heard Biggie say, all the people who tried to call the police on me when I was just hustling trying to feed my daughter, I'm listening to that like, you sound dumb as hell. Okay, you trying to raise your daughter, Chris. They trying to raise their daughters and sons, and maybe they don't want no fat Jamaican niggas selling crack outside that building. You got to understand you're a criminal, man. It's cops and robbers. You can't get mad at a civilian for being a civilian. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's true.
And so, yeah, like a lot of cats, they get confused. They be in the game and they think, oh, well, you like Joy said, you can't be out here hurting people and complain when the pain comes, because it all reciprocity and equivalent exchange are universal.
Yeah,
That's right.
whatever you throw out is gonna come back. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I believe 1,000% in that, because that's what I'm trying to say. I've seen situations where I was an ignorant dude in New York where I've almost suffered the same consequences, but because I was smart enough to realize what was popping off at that moment, I was able to get out of that situation. But it's happened to me where I was almost in the same situation that I put somebody in years ago when I was a teenager. You know what I'm saying? But that was karma coming back at me. You know what I'm saying? But thank God that I've been a good person since then. That you know what I'm saying? Like I was able to evade that. You know what I mean?
And also shout out to you. Like, you know, like a lot of people sometimes, it's not arrogance, it's a confidence that I speak it from, because holy shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel blessed that, you know, like people be thinking I'm just talking crazy or being blasphemous, but it's like, yeah, I know my past. I know my ticket's probably already punched, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna spend the rest of my days, you know what I'm saying, whatever. And it doesn't mean that I'm ever gonna lie to myself or to the world about how I ended up on this path. I'll take responsibility for what I did, and I'll take responsibility for the fact that the choices I made were because I wasn't even made aware that I had other options.
That's true. And you want me to tell you something even the most powerful right there? With that being said, as far as the street shit, right? But then even with how I did my first wife dirty, when my ex did me dirty, right? I accepted that. I said, you know what? I did my first wife dirty. This shit was coming to me. It was coming to me. I just didn't know when. You know what I'm saying? And it hit me at my lowest point. And then, but you know what? Since I accepted it as a man, I met my wife and I've been with her since then, and that is the best person that I've ever. Yo, she's dealt with all of my exes and held them like accountable and held them like, well, none of them can fuck with her. You know what I'm saying? And all of my ex, you know, my ex's kids, like, you know, my kids, but from my exes, you know what I'm saying? Like all of them could communicate with her because they love her. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. So out of it, for being humble, and saying, you know what, I fucked up, bro, and I'm fucking dealing with the brunt of the shit because I fucked up because I was a grimy ass dude. You know, that was my bad. But guess what? Now because of that, for being honest to myself and being honest with the universe, whatever you want to call it. You want to call it God, you want to call it Allah, you want to call it, I really don't care what you call it, but there's always a you know, omniscience, omnipresent, omni-being, you know what I'm saying? And whatever that is, you know, we all can agree, whoever agrees that there's a higher, you know what I'm saying, being, then that's what it is. You know what I mean? And I'm just gonna agree that that's what intervened with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's basically just energy, man. Anything you put out there is gonna come right back. You said karma already, so yeah.
Yeah.
Anything you put out there is gonna come right back.
Well, if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C, right? And if God is everything and everything is energy, then God is energy. So yes, that I agree with that as well.
But let me say this: the whole reason for me even starting Daddies, I told you this already, but I just saw a need in a void, man. That I've been on this social media thing for I forget how many years, but I don't see anybody that's talking to fathers because I actually created Daddy's Lounge as a Facebook page back in 2015. Then it got hacked, and I didn't have access to it anymore. But it allowed me to have conversations with fathers that live in Indiana, Africa, France, just all over the world here. And I realized then that there's a void. So then I said, since I have a podcast, let me just create Daddy's Lounge as a podcast. So I could talk to other fathers, man, and give them a place to come to vent or just to share. Because sometimes you're not allowed to show out feelings. They talk about man up. I don't know what man up means.
Yeah, brothers, my bad. Excuse me.
Yeah, I don't know what man up means because if I've done everything I'm supposed to do as a man, I don't understand why you're telling me to man up. I can't show my feelings.
I always thought that was condescending. I don't know about Puro,
Mm-hmm.
Major Key, but I'm with you, Troy.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that was some of the most condescending. And
Mm-hmm.
especially you hear the people who say that. I don't know about y'all. I'm Troy. You got a similar experience to me because we both have our Caribbean roots. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm Haitian, you Jamaican. I got that Haitian blood, you got that Jamaican blood.
I'm Puerto Rican, inclusion, and Dominican, so I got the same Caribbean roots.
So yeah, you understand, like we, you know what I'm saying? We, you know what I'm saying, and we're of a certain age where we was blessed to be around that old cloth, that old generation
Mm-hmm.
who, you know what I'm saying, they understand that it's never sweet, even when it's good. And it's always all good till it's not. And so all that man up, no, man. You know what I'm saying? First of all, as somebody, you know what I'm saying, I tell people all the time, gangsters cry. Shout out to Justin Martin and everything out there. He has a song with I think Lefty Gunplay where it's like, yeah, gangsters get scared. You know what I'm saying? Like, and a lot of our young men go through so much shit because especially young brown and black boys aren't allowed to have human experiences.
We all Caribbean up in this motherfucker.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Puro. Like,
Excuse my language. Excuse my language.
Yeah, like, you know, we out here living.
Back.
And you know, and some of us, you know, people, and then, you know, and it's because of how I grew up. Like, I don't complain about my childhood, but I talk about it very openly because as bad as it was for me, my house was still the group home because my friends grew up worse. Like, so imagine being from a fucked up home and your homeboy comes over there and is like, man, it's cool over here. At least, you know, I ain't got my mom passed out nodding off of heroin in the corner or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that's where you realize that, you know, all that man up stuff. No, you have no idea what's on people's backs. You know what I'm saying? So when you see a man going through and you see a man, whatever, you have no idea. And lastly, as far as fatherhood goes, Major Key touched on something good. When you deal with the karma of life as a man and fatherhood comes into play, you got to deal with not only the karma that you did in the streets and everything, but you got to deal with the karma of how you was moving with these women. All of us who have daughters know that one. You know what I'm saying? Where you realize, oh shit, I got a little girl.
Well, you know, I raised
my homies kept telling me.
I raised a little girl since she was 2, and I learned by looking at her as she got older what nature and nurture means, because so many people will be like, yeah, that's definitely your child. She's just as stubborn as you. I'm like, I don't say anything. I'm just like, yeah. And she's intelligent and stubborn, but she's herself, like I like to tell her. You are yourself.
That's the one thing I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed, like from where my kid was a baby till where she is right now, that she was nothing like me. I don't want her to have none of the bad, all of the good, but she got both, unfortunately. And
Yeah.
fortunately, man, you know, it's my kid. I still love
Yeah,
her, but
Oh
man, she's
yeah,
you
no,
going
gotta be
through some
mind.
shit that like she shouldn't have to, in my humble opinion, but it is what it is, you know.
You gotta be
well,
mindful of that too, because when you do say stuff like that, she might not get the best of you. Then, she
right.
might just get. So words,
Well said, Troy.
yeah,
Watch the
because
word.
there's this little book. There's this little book called, "Hung by the Tongue." So I know as a father, sometime I would get pissed and say stuff I shouldn't say that I had to make up for it. But I was always mindful about what I said after a while. Hung by the tongue. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
hear you.
I was very careful of that. Like you said, you didn't want your kids to grow up like you or whatever. Um,
Mm-hmm.
fun fact, fun fact, my 18-year-old never once had to put hands on him. Like Major Key,
Mm.
I would just take shit because I'm dad. You got all this, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I might be fucked up, but especially when he was young, I was still very much a wolf to where like I used to have a saying, as long as there's guns and duct tape, I ain't gonna be broke for too long. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? And so I would always provide for him. And if he start acting bad, like, he's fucking up, I'm gonna talk to him like Major Key said. And then if he starts getting whatever, I would just take shit. And guess what? You can sit in your room with nothing but a book and you better not leave that room. You know what I'm saying? And it was so funny because he would give his mom, he'd give his grandmamas all this, whatever. And like I would be on the oil fields working like 5 states away, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, in my little small little corner of the world, I am me, to where him and his mama be in the store and he's cutting up. One of my homeboys would call me and just walk up, you know what I'm saying? Wouldn't even say nothing to my baby mom, just walk up and put the phone in my son's ear. And I'd be like, Zodra, what the hell are you doing? Like everyone still
Mm-hmm.
laughs. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he'll be doing something and all I got to do is say his name followed by God damn it.
Mm.
Yeah, when they got that's like the code. You know what I'm saying? That's like the
Oh, yeah.
code.
Hey, Major Key, I call it the Mufasa. You feel me, Bureau Troy? I call it the
Yeah,
Mufasa.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Get him with that Mufasa voice. Hey, God
Yeah,
damn it.
yeah. Well, listen, that's what I try to tell my wifey, man. Look, what I try to tell my wifey, and you know what I'm saying, it is what it is. Like with the kids, like for example, for my 1 year old, she could whine all day long, and her mom, you know what I'm saying, like goes and gets her and stuff like that, and you know what I'm saying, but if I come out the room, she sees me, she's like, Daddy, and she kind of chills, and then if she tries to act some kind of crazy way, like I'm like, hey, and then she's like, da, or and then she starts staring, and then she just resorts back to what she was playing with. You know what I'm saying? If she actually argues with me, she's got to be either really tired, dirty diaper, or she's hungry. Which my wife does a great job of taking care of her. So I know that if she got an issue with me, I could calm her down real quick, unless there's the serious issue. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, man, like look, after raising all these kids, man, for so many damn years, man, it's for me, it's like, yo, cake, bro. It's like, yo, you just do your thing, you know what I mean? Like, and that's it, like it is what it is, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was
They're
gonna
pretty
say though.
smart kids. All of them are pretty smart kids, man. It's because I keep them away from the drama. You know what I'm saying? I let them know, like, look, I told my son, I'm like, Righteous, I told him, bro, you're not a thug, bro. Get the fuck out of here, man. You didn't grow up in the fucking Bronx in the 80s and 90s like I did. What you talking about, you being a fucking thug, bro? You know what I'm saying? You go to a fucking school where your school bus has to pass a fucking $1 million homes. What are you talking about that you're a fucking thug, bro? You're not a thug. You know what I'm saying? Like you acting silly, bro. I've caught him and I've embarrassed him, bro. Why are you reaching out to older women on these websites talking about that you like over 18 years old and talking about you got a stab wound on your leg because you was people trying to rob you in New York and stuff like you never been to New York. What are you doing, son? I've had to embarrass this kid, man. You know, and his name is Righteous.
Hey, no, that's dope though. Hey, no, but that's dope. Like I know Troy. You said you named the son Malcolm X. You got a son
One
named
of them, yes.
Righteous Major Key. You know, my son, his name is Zozier. You know what I'm saying? His name is Zozier Django. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's dope. That's dope too. I didn't hear that earlier. No doubt.
Yeah. Like all my kids, you know, basically because I'm Zadaki, you know what I'm saying? I'm Zadaki. I'm of the Zadaki tribe. So all my kids are. I make a point to, you know what I'm saying? They have even me. My true name, you know what I'm saying, is it's the name of an ancient king, then the name of the Orisha. You know what I'm saying? Name of your patron Orisha. You know what I'm saying? And then the last name. And everyone's like, why do you do that? I say, well, I give my son the name of a king first, to remind him that he is a man and how, you know what I'm saying, you know, your name is your shield, as they said in the old world. You know what I'm saying? You know,
But
that's why
I don't want to lose you. Do you mind just telling me what tribe that is, so just so I can know before I follow through?
well, when you get into the Orishas, that's a couple tribes. That could be anything from Ashanti to Yoruba to Bantu, you know, West African stuff. It basically
Okay,
you
West
know,
Africa. Okay.
yeah, basically all of our Caribbean faiths, you know what I'm saying, from whether it's Santeria, whether it's hoodoo, whether it's
Oh well,
voodoo.
yeah, no, I understand because because when you deal with the Taino roots and sub-Saharan roots in Puerto Rico, I definitely know my history, and we come from sub-Saharan culture as well. So we have sub-Saharan culture as well as what comes from Venezuela and Brazil, right, which is a completely different culture, but that's like basically what do you call it? Aboriginal? You know what I'm saying? Like the people that were already in South America or Mesoamerica, whatever you want to call that, right?
Well,
Um,
yeah, like you be a Dominican and all like that. Yeah, it's like Taino and Arawak. You're like Taino and
but
Arawak.
yeah, well, yeah, Arawak is basically the foundation of it, but then it's sprouted into different things. Yes, that's correct. Arawak is exactly the base point. So yeah, it starts going into Taino and stuff like that, but then along with sub-Saharan culture, you know what I'm saying, and then along with Spaniards in some islands, in other islands, less Spaniard culture. You know what I mean? But
Yeah. So yeah, that's where that comes from, and you know what I'm saying. And so it's very important that, like, you know, the men are all named. They get a king's name first to remind them. You know what I'm saying. You know, Sankofa to remind them where they come from, and then you have the name of your patron Orisha. You know what I'm saying, to remind you that, you know what I'm saying, the men is the middle name to remind them that, you know, they always must walk in divinity. And with the females, the Orisha names first, and then the middle name's the name of a queen to, you know what I'm saying, because females got to keep I believe females should keep their divinity first and foremost, because I believe that a woman, you know what I'm saying, a woman is not a lady unless she can walk in divinity. Like, I believe that's the difference. You know what I'm saying? That's that difference. You know, that's that grace. That's that, you know, saying a woman in divinity, that's that woman who could bring her man peace. You feel what I'm saying? And so that's why with the females in my tribe, you know what I'm saying, the Orisha name is first instead of in the middle name.
Yeah, you know what? You mentioned the Yoruba tribe. Ever since, well, you know, I have a brother who's actually Yoruba, right? He grew up in Nigeria, right? Now, ever since I was a child, I've been getting
I'm
close.
sorry, it was that Uribe, like Uribe.
Yeah, is what?
Yuroba, Yoruba.
Okay, you OBA. Okay, I got to look that one up. I don't know about that one.
Yep. Is Yoruba.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, different
but
Yoruba tribe, the Ashanti, the
Well,
Bantu.
yeah, no, thank you that that's why I asked because I don't like to like go into anything without understanding the truth.
Right. Yeah.
mhm.
And so yeah, basically though the Orishas were basically the West African pantheon, the West African Ennead, you know what I'm saying? You know, the 8-9 major spirits in voodoo, voodoo, they're called Loa, you know what I'm saying? And what do Jamaicans call? I forget what's the Jamaican term for, you know what I'm saying? The
For
ancestors,
what?
for the blessed ancestors and saints. Not the
Got me.
Duppies are just ghosts. Duppies are just a
Yeah,
ghost.
Duppies are ghosts. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's an actual term for our revered ancestors. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I know the Santeria is what you said earlier.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Which
Yeah,
I
Santeria still
can,
call them Orishas, and they'll still call them
yeah,
by their name.
yeah.
Yemaya,
Yep,
Obatala, Eshu. Like my
right.
daughter's name is Toya. My daughter's name Toya. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and that's why they still call the island. It has nothing to do with the with that, but nevertheless, they definitely study the Santeria. You know what I'm saying? And it's because of they're like with a lot of the music and the food culture and all of that. It's all intertwined, and that's what a lot of people here in the United States don't understand. And this was difficult for a person like myself that has been around here for so long. My family's been around here. Yo, and the reason I was trying to tell you about the Caribbean. My mother's great aunt, my mother's aunt, I should say, my great aunt. So basically, my grandmother's sister, right? She was a senator for 12 years in the fucking the Virgin Islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands. She lived in St. Croix. Her husband is O'Neill. She's still actually a representative. You could actually look her up right now. She's still a representative at her late age.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I got to meet his cousin.
The great work never ends. The great work never ends. And I think that's I don't know. I don't want to speak for you, Troy, but when I was listening to you before I jumped on the panel, that's what really, said the great work never ends. People don't understand that. Like you were saying, you don't wait for your children. Oh, I got to get my shit together. You raise your children while you're raising yourself. You feel what I'm saying? Because the great
I
work
learned
never
how to
ends.
be a father by being a father, I said.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Oh man, that's the bar right there. Because what was the saying go? Once a gangster, always a gangster. Once a Marine, always a Marine. Once a father, you're always a father.
Yeah. Well, that's true. That's true. I tell you what, though, gentlemen, I've been on here going for 2 hours. I'm gonna stay on for about 8 more minutes. Then I'm gonna shut it down and go get my old man nap on, right? But I want to thank you again, man, because this is something I always want to do. But I just had to get the boxing out my system. It's not completely out. I'll probably do Tuesday, Thursdays when I feel like it. But this is something that I actually really wanted to do, and I feel there's a need out there for it. So I'm glad you brothers showed up. I hope you pass the word on, and we get some more fathers on here, and we get some more. Because we just need a place to actually come and say, I'm a father, but Lord have mercy. It ain't easy. We always hear about the mothers, which I'm not knocking the mothers, but we always hear about the mothers and they can vent, but we can't vent because we got to be tough like rock stone and all that. We can't vent, right? That's not true at all. Not true at all.
Nah.
Tears.
Listen, as long as you don't have any person or like females ganging up to like messing up the situation, because I know there's a lot of females that are subscribed to this channel that actually are very cool and can have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy people like that. I don't enjoy toxic ones. You know what I'm saying? Where they want to take away the credit of the conversation that we're trying to have. So if you're gonna get
Actually,
anybody like
welcome on the
that,
panel too.
just let me know that's that type of female, and I won't even show up. You know what I'm saying? I'll let you have that dialogue yourself. But besides that, man, I'm gonna call it a night. I'm gonna say shout out to that guy Clips, shout out to Puro Central, shout out to you, my brother.
All right, Major.
Y'all have a great night, man.
All right,
Peace.
brother.
Peace.
All right.
Love to you, Major Key.
Let me do the dub thing. Y'all have any closing remarks or anything you want to say before I shut it down?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Clips. What were the spirits you were talking about, Clips?
The Orishas, you know what I'm saying? It's what's that? It's called Ifa. You know what I'm saying? It's not really a religion, it's a way of life. You know what I'm saying? In West Africa, because we didn't need religion in Africa. You know what I'm saying? Religion's that bullshit that the Europeans gave us. We're a spiritual people, so we had a spiritual path. You know what I'm saying? And everyone says, oh, we worship multiple gods. No, we were so in tune with nature that we understood, like in Islam, the 99 names of Allah, we understood that the different manifestations of God, and we would attribute different names to them, to where we believe in one God, but when God manifests like this, that's a shoe. When God manifests like this, that's Yemayah. When God manifests like this, just like the Egyptians, that's why they called them the netters, where you get the word nature. We didn't worship
Everything had a spirit
gods.
in it. Yeah, everything had a spirit in it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you're in good company, Clips, because my mama's side, that's what they believed in too. They were in tune with the land, and they were nomadic people. They were nomadic people.
Yeah, you come from good.
Also, the Asians get credit for starting martial arts, but that's not true.
That came from Africa.
Yeah,
There it is. And
But
then us Mexicans, we perfected the sport of boxing, so we got that.
yeah.
Oh yeah, you mean the short Puerto Ricans?
Well, no,
Remember
I
that
thought
joke?
about the Mexicans.
No, the Aztecs, Olmecs, and Toltecs, they did do boxing. And if you go to certain parts of like the Andean mountain cultures, they still have them festivals where the people got to tie their arm together to where you can't run, and you just slap the shit out of each other till somebody quit. Like, I don't know how to do that. Hey, Troy, imagine having your arm tied to another nigga arm where he's just slapping you until he bored.
Old school slap boxing, huh?
Nah, yeah.
Power slap.
Yeah, I'm good. Hey, but in their defense, they do chew raw cocoa leaves, so they built like that.
Tough up your skin.
Well, no, they high as hell.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
They chewing raw cocoa leaves, man. They you know what I'm saying? They a little different down there. But my closing comment was, man, shout out to all the fathers. And like Major Key was saying, thank you for having this conversation, making a respectful platform, and you know what I'm saying, and a place for seriousness, you know what I'm saying, without all the bullshit. Because some of these conversations are serious, and it ain't just about the gender wars and mothers versus fathers. Because as fathers, we got different classes of men. We got fathers who struggle, who went through hell just to be in their kid's life and make it happen. And then you got certain people who are propped up, like you were saying, that whole man up stuff. You got a lot of dudes who be living off they bitch, but they make it look good for the street, try to talk a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't really get it out the mud, and I'm not mad at you. You got a hand up, you had a lot of help, my boy, and God bless you for that help. But you don't have the right to stick your nose up or talk down to anybody who, when I say I did it by myself, I did it by myself. You know what I'm saying? And so as fathers, we got to recognize that and stop doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? Stop trying to act like, oh, well, I'm super dad and I'm blah, blah, blah. Because you know what? The proof is in the pudding. You don't know what type of father you are until that motherfucker grown. And that's why, that's why, I get real defensive, and I get, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, like motherfuckers don't understand. You get your ass slid on, talk about my family or my loved ones, because even when it comes to my young guys, because like I said, my young guys are now in their 25s, 30s now. And these are kids that I raised. These are grown men who, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And the only reason they ain't kicking indoors, the only reason why they ain't running around here still on the corner is because, you know what, little big homie said, nah, do it a different way. And a lot of times I even put money out of my pocket to, hey, man, go do this. And I don't do that to tell myself. I did that because that's how I was raised. I was raised by gangsters who, you know what, hey, little Mike, hey, nah, just go on and do this, man. Nah, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, I'm in the car about to ride, you know what I'm saying? OG will come and open the door. Little Mike, get the fuck out the car. What y'all niggas bringing little Mike on this mission for? You know what I'm saying? And so as fathers and as men, we need to really embrace being the elders and get back to that. You know what I'm saying? I know these YNs are crazy, but we can't be scared of our little nigga. We can't be scared of our nephews and little cousins. You know what I'm saying? You should be able to go talk to that nigga.
No, but I was gonna say, I was gonna say, there's nothing wrong with a purposeful, firm hand. There's nothing wrong with it. You can't just say,
"Oh, spare the rod." What happens?
Yeah, because you know what? I raised my daughter's uncle, and they're the same age. They're both 35. When he was 15, he was stealing cars and knocking out grown men, right? So cops used to go to his mom's house, and one day she was like, "You got taken for the summer for me," because his older brother was locked up. I said, "Fine." First night, you know what he did? He jumped at me, and this little boy had some size on him at the time, but he jumped on me. I slammed him against the wall and picked him up, just like this, and I said, "Let me tell you something. If you ever jump at a man and do what you did to me, he'd probably kill you. But I'm your older brother. I'm not gonna kill you. I'm just gonna give you a warning. Don't do that, man. Don't do that." And then I sat down with him after he stopped crying and calmed down. I said, "How you feel about your mother?" He said, "Why are you asking me that? We know I love her." You can't love her that much because you're always putting her through something. You ever stop to think about that? He's like, "Well, I didn't see it that way. I just want to make some money." How you gonna make any money if you're dead? I mean, you can't get past me. And I'm just a firm man. What you think's gonna happen to you in the street? And to this day, he always remember those words, and he's 35. He was 15 when I said that to him.
And then, like you said, he's going to always remember that, because sometimes it was those conversations, whether it be from your father, your uncle, or from the older dude on the street. You know what I'm saying? You have no idea the impact all of us have on those around
Mm-hmm.
us with our words and our actions. So, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, thank you again for having this platform and a respectful conversation, not trying to say all little goofy shit and all like that. Let's talk like grown men. If we want to be catty and want to be childish, then, you know what I'm saying, you go play when it's recess. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Because for all
also, also, y'all, the show comes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just those 3 days: Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
okay, word. Right? Yeah, I know I shared
Yeah.
this, and I tell you what, man, I'm gonna keep I'm gonna keep spreading the good gospel. You know what I'm saying? You're doing great work. You know, Troy, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, me and you, we've talked our shit. We went back and forth, but the one thing that I always respected about you is, you know what? There was respect behind that. A joke's a joke.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm one of them. I'm one of them people that I view you as a coward. You know, don't try to don't try to act like my friend to disrespect me, because trust me. Because trust me, if I want to disrespect you, I'll just disrespect you. I ain't gonna try to befriend you and get on your good side to try to talk shit.
No.
That ain't the way I'm cut. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
you.
like the OJ. Yeah, like the OJ said, the backstab. I'm not backstabbing anybody. I always said, if you're gonna kill me, can you please stab me in the heart? This way, I
Yeah,
won't have
look
any
me in the eye
questions.
when you do it. Look me in the eye when
Yeah,
you do it. Be a man. And
Don't
then,
shake
you
my
know,
hand and
exactly.
they get the blade in the back, right?
well,
Yeah, exactly.
my grandma used to always remind me that humans are mammals. And she always said, anywhere else in nature, when a mammal's showing its teeth to you, what is it doing? It's
Mm-hmm.
growling. That's a sign of aggression. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so she always said, you better be careful for all them old kiki and big teething ass niggas up in your goddamn face. Because yeah, one minute he's gonna say you're a real nigga, and in a minute then he's gonna hang up the phone and get on the phone with another nigga
And
talking
then,
about, man, guess what clips just
mm-hmm.
told me. You know what I'm saying? No, we don't
Yep.
do that shit, man. That's corny, man. That's corny as hell. If that's how you feel, then stand on it. Because you know, y'all, we've talked for a while. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We don't know each other personally, but you know what I'm saying? We've interacted for a while. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know how I get down. If I don't fuck with you, I make it very clear.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, that's how it does in the real world. That's the thing with social media. It's like, to me, it's just a pretend world, bro. That's why I don't take it that all that serious, to be honest.
Yes, sir. But once again, thank you very much, Troy. I know you got that nap calling. I see it in your eyes. That nap calling you. That nap on your neck, boy. Hey, man, but I love you, Puro. You already know, man.
No, for
It's
sure,
much
clips,
love, man.
man.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
always.
man. Beautiful thing, man. I'll see you Wednesday, man. 6:30, you say, huh?
All right. Well, Puro, man, why don't you take us out and say thank you for coming to the Daddies Lounge in Spanish. Can you say that?
Of course, of course. Gracias por venir al how do you say lounge in Spanish? A la sala de los a la sala de los papis, con los personajes de Troy Graham, that guy Clips y Puro Sur Central. And Troy, thank you for having me, brother. And man, peace, brother. And I'll see you on the next one, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Anytime, Troy. Thank you, brother. Peace.
All right. All right. That was episode 2 of the Troy Graham Experience, man. I appreciate everyone that came through, Major Key, that guy Clips, Puro, Evelyn, and everybody, Dubwise, everybody that came through. Those that I see that are just watching in the background. Appreciate all of you. This is it's just something meaningful that drives my soul that I want to do. So thank you for coming out. That nap is on me, so we'll go take a nap. And I just want everybody to stay blessed up and remember that this purposeful positivity pushes past all problems. That's it. Bless up one and all.